Hey, are you in the middle of potty training? Let's say that you're potty training and you are using M&Ms, maybe Skittles as rewards. Those are common ones. And it's just not working. Your kid's still having accidents every day. They're not letting you. They need to go. It's a disaster. Or maybe you're using chocolate kisses, cupcakes, whatever it is. It's just not working. Let me know in the comments down below what you've been using. The truth is that the same rewards won't work for every kid that you potty train, and those rewards won't work over time if it takes a really long time to potty train, which can be normal. I'm a behavior analyst, and I've been helping parents potty train their kids for over 10 years. During this time, I've come to find that you need some creative thinking and planning in order to get around the issue of rewards. And rewards are really the most essential part of your potty training, because if you don't have good ones, your potty training is going to take a lot longer. So let's dive in. So the first thing that you can do is brainstorm what their favorite drinks, snacks, toys, and activities are. You want the highly preferred ones, the ones that they love. Maybe really helpful if it's things that they don't get often. So for example, I've had kids where the parents literally had to use diet soda because he didn't get it very often and he loved it. And so in the end, they had to give in and use it because it's the only thing that worked. They just gave him small amounts when he went potty. Another example would be, let me think. Obviously, tablets and phones and other electronics are pretty popular. I've had a kid where we used his Xbox as a reward and he would get time on it if he went potty. So things like that can be used as well if they're very motivating and your child doesn't have other interests that are as motivating. Other things you can use are, they are absolutely cupcakes and chocolate kisses and Skittles and M&Ms. All of those things can be used. It just depends on the child, right? Because if your child maybe gets them all the time, it may not be super motivating for them. Or if it's something that they kind of sort of like but don't always eat because they don't really like it that much, then that's probably not what you should use for potty training. It's also important to consider how often they get these things. So, for example, like I just mentioned, if they get it all the time, then the motivation for that item is going to be low, because why would they go potty to get it if they can have it any other time? So it's very important to make sure that if you do choose something that they get often throughout the day, that you actually remove it and leave it specifically just for when they go potty. Obviously, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this in there. I know that you hopefully probably already know this, but anything new is going to be great, right? So my sister had a little treasure box and she would go to literally the dollar store, would pick out tiny little toys, and my nephew loved nothing more than to pick a brand new toy every time he went potty. And they were cheap, so it didn't cost a lot, and it was just an easy way. He was potty trained fairly quickly, so that is something that can be very effective. You can do new apps on your child's tablet. That's another great idea that can be free, so that's helpful. I use that fairly often. In the past, I potty trained kids who had two different tablets. I had one that had an iPad, but then also one of those, I think it's a Fire, one of those things. And we simply chose the one that they preferred most. And so we set that one aside for potty training, and then we also put new games on it to make it even more reinforcing, which is really helpful. But the main thing I wanted to talk about was what to do if you want to use things that are already at home. I understand if you're on a budget and you can't do it. It's completely normal. I deal with that every time I potty train. It's sometimes more effective to just use things that you already have. Or for example, sometimes I potty train kids who are neurodiverse and diagnosed with autism, and so in that case they may have very limited interest. And what I come across sometimes is something like a tablet, as I've mentioned, can be helpful. And the question is then, if it's something that they're getting all the time that I said isn't a good idea, because then it'll be not as motivating, what do you do? How do you increase your child's motivation or the value of that reward so that your child actually wants to go pee in the potty to get that tablet? And what you can do with a tablet or with anything else, it could be a favorite set of trains. I've done that. They're all obsessed with Thomas, so you can always set aside those tracks in that specific train, whichever one their favorite is, and then they earn that. They earn time with it. That's usually how we do it. You would just give them like 15 minutes with it if they went potty, something like that. Another thing I've done is I have some kids who are obsessed with like musical toys, light up toys. That's normal for toddlers. So we'll take their favorite one and we'll set it aside. And again, if these are things that they've been playing with, what you can do to increase their value, to make them more motivating, is to set them aside before you start potty training. Or maybe you're already in the middle of potty training and you're like, well, what am I supposed to do now? Go ahead and just set it aside. How long to set it aside? It tends to differ. Let's say that it is highly motivating and your child asks for it all the time. Maybe you just set it aside for 3 days. That's it. 3 days. They've got plenty of other toys, other things to do. Even if they're into electronics, most of the time they will watch things on TV, so you can do that if you need to. But set it aside for at least 3 days. Usually I do it for about a week, just because it really increases that value. And again, the point of increasing the value is to make it super motivating so that they're like, really, 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 really want it. And then, you just remind them every time, yeah, you can absolutely have it as soon as you go pee in the potty. You want to go now? We can try it, everything you can do to get them to pee in that potty. You can give them 2 things if you want to. That works too. But yeah, it's important to set it aside for a couple of days because it will increase the value. And, obviously they will have other things that they can do in the meantime, so you can do that. I'd love to hear about any other ideas for rewards that you have down below in the comments. It's always helpful to hear other creative parents and their ideas and what has worked for them. And it helps share it with other parents as well, which is the overall goal. Help make your life a little more peaceful. Again, that's really what my videos are about. My goal is to help you get to more peaceful parenting so that you can just spend time with your kids. Spend quality time where you're not losing your mind and you're not yelling and you're not going after them for climbing on chairs or drawing on the walls and all of the other things toddlers tend to do. I've got a freebie down below in the description that you can find that will help guide you through the process of finding rewards for your child and finding the most effective ones. Also has some ideas on there for each category that I mentioned, so feel free to check it out down below. It's free, and I hope it's helpful. So hopefully you found this helpful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments down below. And you can subscribe if you found it helpful so that you don't miss future videos on potty training and other toddler related behaviors. And I'll see you then. Bye.